Hi, my name is Nico Dehan, and in this screencast I want to demonstrate how to use the new Roundtrip feature of the Extbase Kickstarter. Roundtrip means you can continuously edit the source code of the generated files and modify the model in the backend of the Kickstarter without losing your changes in the source code. Let's do an example. Here we have a simple extension generated with a Kickstarter, a book with chapters and an author. Before you start modifying the source files, you have to enable the Roundtrip feature in the extension manager. We have some more options here. One is the advanced mode. By default, the Kickstarter generates some messages, warnings, hints for new user to get started. If you are used to the Kickstarter, then you can use the advanced mode. Another option is make a backup on each save and a directory where to save the backup. You should use this if you don't use a versioning system from where you can restore everything if something goes wrong. Okay, now we can start to modify the source code. Here you see the model of the book, which has the auto-generated methods. Now we will start to add a custom method. And use this method in a getter or setter in this case for a class property. Now we save, switch back to the modeler, and here we can save again without losing the changes. If we go back, we get a warning, the content has changed. And what has changed? We got a command for our custom function, but the function itself is still there. And also the changes we applied to the setter. Okay, now let's see what will happen if we rename the property description, let's say into subtitle, and also change its type to string instead of text. Save it and have a look at the source code. It has changed, and now we see that the setter has changed to set subtitle instead of set description, and the name of the parameter also. But the changes we made to the method body are still there, and they are adapted to the new variable name, property name. Now let's see what will happen if we rename a complete model. We changed book to newspaper, save, and have a look at the changes. Here you see the book model, controller and repository were removed and the newspaper appeared. If we now have a look at the source, we see now the newspaper model has all the methods, and even the modifications we made to the setter are still there. If you rename a model, that is the foreign model of a relation, also these methods get updated. You see we have now set article property and add a publisher property, remove publisher, and so on. Now let's see how you can modify the TCA settings of your model. You have to edit the settings YAML file first, which you will find in your extension directory in Configuration Kickstarter. You will find a small introduction there, which you should read. And important are the override settings. You will find there a nested structure representing the file structure of your extension. If you configure, for example, a folder to be merged, then it will mean that all the files in this folder will be merged by the Kickstarter. You can see here that the classes are by default always set to merge. So if Roundtrip is enabled, the classes will always be merged as we just demonstrated. You will also see that the configuration TCA is by default commented out. That means it will be new written each time you save. So what we can do now is remove the command, save, and then switch to the front end of the Kickstarter and save again. Now you will find in all the TCA files a special token. Behind this token, or below this token, you can insert whatever you want. For example, change the max item number of articles, and these changes will be preserved on next save, and they will override the defaults that are defined above the token. So you see your changes are still there. The same mechanism applies to all PHP files that are not classes, for example localconf, xtables, and also to the xtables SQL. A bit different is the behavior for local lang files. If you set the override settings to merge, it means that all existing keys and their values will be kept. So you can add new ones and you can change existing ones, and it won't get lost if you save again in the front end. For the template files there is no merge mechanism yet, but you can benefit from the fact that there are partials generated for form fields and for property fields. So you might let these partials generate from the Kickstarter and leave them as they are, and you may modify the templates where these partials are included and change them and put the settings to keep, so the templates will be kept and the partials will be regenerated each time you change your model in the Kickstarter. So these are the basic principles of the Roundtrip mechanism. And don't forget, if something goes wrong, you will find a backup in the uploads folder under Exbase Kickstarter, backups, and your extension name. There is a version. Each time you save, it will be a new backup generated. So I hope you will enjoy the new Roundtrip feature and have fun.